they're all using the old methods, the old information that goes back centuries. But Justine found a way to bring the definitions for the cards into the modern age. And she applies them to what's working in our world today. It's totally different than the way they would have been hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And that's why I published her book, and it's called The Rebirth of the Oracle. And we use the weight deck in there because that's the most popular deck. But you said it can be used with anything. Any deck. But it gives the modern definitions, and she's right on. And when she does readings, it's absolutely fantastic. I always think she's more psychic than she gives herself credit for, and that the cards are just a tool, that she's able to pick up things from them, but I think there's a whole lot more going on, that she knows just right down to the last detail about people's lives. But she's already booked solid for this conference. People were signing up long before she ever got here because they all wanted to have readings from this wonderful lady. But you're going to be talking about the tarot the way you see it, and you'll be talking about the audience too. Because that's one thing she can do. She can look at the audience and tell you all about yourself without the cards. So anyway, it's going to be fascinating. But this is Justine Alessi, Master Tarot Reader. Thank you. Thank you.
Put that under there.
Do you want to use this, or do you want to use the...
I have this.
Okay, Greg, you want to turn this one off? This one's off then. Okay.
So I'm so happy to be here. This is the 4th time I've been here, and every time it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Used to be I would be able to go, the first time I did it, I was able to go through the audience and talk to every single person and tell them their cord card, their significator. I don't think I can do that this year, but I'll do my best to do as many of you as I can. As Dolores told you, I'm a tarot reader. She uses the word psychic. I don't like the word because I feel like, I don't know, it goes against what my belief is. My belief is that we all are psychic or intuitive. And I point myself out as more so than anybody else. I believe that all of you have just as much of a gift as I have. The thing with tarot, and I believe that everybody in this room could understand tarot. If you look at it long enough, it will talk to you, and it will never be wrong. I've been teaching tarot classes for years now, and in fact, this time I brought with me four of the best readers that I've been able to train in all the years I've done cards, and they are here to do cards as well if you want readings, because I know I can't do them all, and you will have every bit of a good reading from them as you do from me. And it comes from my belief that we indeed are all intuitive, that we all have power, and that it's just a matter of, I guess what I want to say is honing in on the right levels. People they think we have to be at the same level, like our days, the days we go through the same. But there are peaks and valleys in our days, there are peaks and valleys in our minds, there are peaks and valleys in our thoughts. And as a reader, which we're all readers, if you think about it. How many times have you talked to your husband or your kids or your wife or your mother or somebody? You knew what they were going to say. You knew what was going to happen. You're at work. You feel. And that feeling, that's intuitive energy. That's the exact same energy that I use as a reader and the energy that everybody uses as a reader. And with the tarot, those are like little flashcards to your mind that open things up. The tarot cards are symbols. They're not just pictures. I think that, sometimes people will look at a card and they'll be almost afraid. They'll think, well, what does that mean? It doesn't look like it means that. Well, it doesn't mean that. It means what you think it means. And the Egyptians, well, as far back as they can tell, I'll do a little history here for you. I don't know if it's accurate. Nobody knows if it's accurate because Tarot's been around for centuries, but the most widely accepted theory with tarot is that in the 12th century in Egypt, the cards were used by the priests and priestesses to divine answers for people's problems. One of the things that I believe got lost over the centuries was that when you would go to a tarot reader, and it became very charlatan-like, you'd go to the carnival and your reader would have her crystal ball and her cards, and she would say, oh, you're going to meet a tall, dark, and handsome man, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. That's not tarot reading. The priests and priestesses were very highly respected people, and they believed, or the theory was, that the cards opened their mind. Well, if it can open the mind of a priest and priestess, it can open your mind. And you stare at that picture long enough, and it will mean something to you, I promise. You'll be, I can't mean that. People will say, like, it can't be right, but it is right. And a lot of times it'll seem like an almost impossible thing to say, it's right. When you learn to listen to it, it's right. And it's open, it's symbolism. And the symbols, they have no idea. They believe they were divined by the holy people in the temples to open certain pieces and places in the mind, that you would look at the cards and that you would know things, and then they would be modified by the cards. So to go to a reader and just sit down and have the reader tell you this is going to happen, that's not a tarot reading. A tarot reading is ask questions. I tell people, you can ask me as many questions as you like. I don't have any limits to the number of questions, but it's not going to be a good reading unless you ask questions. It is also not going to be a good reading if your client is not handling your card. How can somebody be on a radio and answering people that are hundreds or thousands of miles away? It's not a card reading. It's a cold reading, but it's not a card reading. For it to be a card reading, your client has got to handle those cards and transfer their energy. The Egyptian belief, I'll show you, it's the shape of a heart. They believed all the information was located in your solar plexus, that you knew every single thing that was going to happen to you. You chose it in your reincarnative life that you were going to learn these lessons. It was all stored here. That it was tempered through the heart chakra, that this information would come up through the heart, go down the arms into your hands. Your hands would handle the cards. And that was like a transmitting of energy, almost like a radio transmission of the energy that was already in here into your hands, because as everyone knows, the Egyptians connected the entire body with chakras. And so your hands touching these cards, all they did was gave that reader the information of what you already know to be true. A tarot reading should resonate truthfully with you. And when you have a reader say something to you that seems utterly impossible, don't be too sure of that, because we're not, we're creatures of habit, but we do have changes in our life, which brings us to some of the other cards that I want to talk about. But do know that as a reader, I don't know what you don't know. You already know it. It's in you. It's in you. And when I tell it to you, it'll resonate. And you might think that can't happen, but yet there's a piece in you that thinks, I wish it could, or I hope it does. Anyway.